It was supposed to be the start of a dream vacation. 14-year-old Malik Johnson had never been on a plane before. His father had saved for months to surprise him with a trip to celebrate his acceptance into a special STEM program for gifted students. But minutes before takeoff, everything changed. A murmur rippled through the cabin, and suddenly eyes turned toward Malik. The pilot walked down the aisle, face tense, voice sharp. "Sir, you need to come with me." No explanation, no chance to speak. Just confusion, fear, and humiliation. Moments later, Malik was escorted off the plane, his father watching helplessly. The reason? A security threat that didn't exist. But what the airline didn't expect was what his father would do next. "Stay until the end. This one will leave you speechless." Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Malik Johnson was the kind of kid every parent dreamed of raising. Bright, curious, gentle, the kind who took apart old toys to see how they worked. At 14, he'd already built a small drone from spare parts, flying it proudly in the neighborhood park. When he got accepted into a STEM enrichment camp in California, his father, Marcus, decided to celebrate with a father-son trip. It wasn't fancy, just a few days together before Malik's big summer. But for Malik, it was everything. He'd packed his favorite hoodie, his tablet, and a small notebook labeled "My First Flight." Inside were sketches of airplane wings and engine designs he'd drawn from memory. He wanted to remember every detail, the sound of takeoff, the clouds, the feeling of flying. They arrived early, breezed through security, and boarded. For a moment it felt perfect, until a flight attendant's eyes lingered too long, and whispers began 2 rows ahead. Someone had noticed something unusual. Malik didn't know it yet, but the world was about to remind him that even dreams can come crashing down. As passengers settled, Malik opened his notebook and started sketching. He traced the curves of the wings, the engines, the control panels. Flying fascinated him, the way machines could lift hundreds of people into the sky. A woman nearby glanced over. Her expression shifted. She leaned toward the flight attendant and whispered something. The attendant frowned, looking over at Malik. Another crew member joined. Their voices were hushed, but the glances weren't. Moments later, the pilot appeared at the front of the cabin. His expression was severe, almost cold. "Sir," he said to Marcus, "we've received a report. Your son needs to come with me." Marcus blinked, confused. "A report about what?" "Security concerns," the pilot replied. No other explanation. Malik's stomach dropped. The plane had gone quiet. All he could hear was his heartbeat and the rustle of passengers shifting uneasily. He stood, clutching his backpack, and followed the pilot down the aisle. Every step felt heavier than the last, every stare sharper. Outside the plane, 2 airport security officers waited. They asked Malik to empty his pockets, his bag, and even his hoodie. They looked through his sketches, pages of airplanes, engines, equations, and one officer frowned. "Where did you get these designs?" "I drew them," Malik said quietly. "I want to be an engineer," but to them it didn't matter. They saw lines, wires, and notes they didn't understand. Not a boy's dream, but a threat. After nearly an hour of questioning, they found nothing. No threat, no reason, just a frightened 14-year-old kid who wanted to fly. When Marcus asked to reboard, the pilot refused. "For everyone's comfort," he said flatly, "we'll put you on another flight." Comfort for whom? Marcus's hands shook. That's when he made a decision that would change everything. Marcus stepped back, pulled out his phone, and hit record. His voice was calm but laced with controlled fury. "My son," he said, was kicked off a plane because someone thought a 14-year-old black boy with a notebook was a threat. Because curiosity looked suspicious, he showed the notebook, the sketches, the designs, the innocent handwriting of a child. He tagged the airline, the airport, and posted it online. Within hours, the video spread everywhere. Parents, pilots, engineers, people of every background shared it with outrage. "That could have been my kid," one comment read. "This is what bias looks like," said another. News outlets picked it up. The story trended nationwide. The airline scrambled to issue a statement calling it a misunderstanding, but no one believed that anymore. Marcus demanded more than an apology. He wanted acknowledgement, real change. Standing beside his son, he said, "You wanted to build airplanes. Malik, maybe now you'll help build a world where they see us as people, not threats." The video ended there, but the movement was only beginning. Days later, the airline issued a public apology and offered compensation. Marcus declined it. "Money doesn't erase humiliation," he said. Change does. He began working with advocacy groups focused on racial bias in travel and security screening. Malik's story became a teaching example in training sessions for flight crews and airport staff across the country. Meanwhile, Malik stayed true to his passion. He continued sketching, learning, and dreaming of designing aircraft one day. When a local TV station interviewed him, he said, "I still love planes. But now I know some systems need fixing before they can really fly." His courage inspired thousands. The hashtag #UsFlyingWhileBlack flooded social media as people shared their own experiences of being profiled while traveling. Malik's name became a symbol of resilience, a reminder of how bias can ground even the brightest dreams. He still carries that same notebook, its pages now filled with new designs, and one powerful message written on the first page. Dreams don't threaten anyone, prejudice does. Because sometimes, change begins not in a courtroom or a protest, but in an airport, when one father refuses to stay silent. How many more times must this happen before the world truly listens? Where are you watching from? And what would you have done? Take care.